Many people have argued in the comments that the idea to refuse to pay your energy bill is very much akin to the refusal to pay the poll tax and therefore will have the same result. This is why that isn't true. In this brief video, I'll explain my views and explain why. Let's just look at what poll tax was in the first place, very briefly. This was a tax levied on every individual, regardless of earning. This was under Margaret Thatcher's government in 1989. It was replaced 2 years later by council tax because 17 million or so people refused to pay it, and therefore it became impossible to implement. The idea has been transferred that this would be the same if everybody refused to pay their energy bills, because with so many people refusing to pay their poll tax, clearly it just simply wasn't possible to implement, and therefore they abolished it and replaced it with council tax 2 years later, which of course is tied to various other things. But all of this not before dozens of people were jailed for failure to pay their poll tax, unlawfully as it transpired, and eventually £5 billion in arrears was written off because the scheme simply didn't work because of the public revolt, which is exactly what we're talking about here. Now, why is that so different from the current situation, you might ask? Well, we have to look right back to the 1970s, where state-owned companies were being privatized, notably with the Central Electric Board and British Gas in 1986, also under Margaret Thatcher's government. So these companies are now privatized as opposed to state-owned, and they are running for profit, meaning these companies have no obligation whatsoever to provide the energy that they source to anybody in the UK. Unlike a state-owned entity, which would obviously have that obligation, these private companies simply don't. And what's worse is that the price hikes are in large part due to the wholesale prices going up around the world because of what's going on in the world vis-a-vis Ukraine and the disputes in China and so on. So the prices going up on the wholesale market are driving the prices up overall, and because of the percentage margins and so on and so forth, this is obviously resulting in higher prices. Now, the energy cap, which is designed to prevent them from charging above a certain amount, is now being reviewed very much more often, which means the prices are likely to go up more often. And why is all of this happening? Well, because it's supply and demand. Without getting too much into the business of it, maybe I'll do that over on Black Belt Secrets, so please check that out in the link below and subscribe there too. But supply and demand is essentially what is going to drive prices. So if the demand for oil and gas and fuels and everything else is going up, because in large part of what's going on around the world, then the prices are going to go up because the demand for such things go up. And that is translating into increasing prices in the UK. That doesn't provide a solution, I understand, which is why I said government needs to step in, which is not going to work, as Martin Lewis criticised, and I agree with, by cutting income taxes, because those that are going to be affected the worst are not paying those taxes in the first place, but they still have to pay for the fuel. So if there's no cut on income tax because they're not paying it, but they still have to pay for the fuel, which they can't, they're going to be left without fuel. So this doesn't solve the problem. So this is why I respectfully suggest that this movement for Don't Pay UK is not going to work in the same way as the poll tax revolt did. And ultimately it does look very grim because it doesn't look like there are many solutions that are going to work. Unless, as I said, the government takes a very firm hand against the companies providing these energy resources, or the government does it themselves. So as I said, those are just my thoughts on comparing this with the poll tax. Please don't shoot the messenger. I'm here to try to give you my thoughts and understanding on the situation as it is. It is grim, and I don't know what the government is going to do about it, if anything. But please do like the video and subscribe, and as always, I'm here to support you. Thank you for watching.